These are the 8 most heavily guarded mansions in Manila. But as the video goes on, the families get richer and the secrets get darker. First, you need to understand something. You may have never heard of these people. Not because they are not powerful, but because they made sure of it. While you were stuck in traffic on EDSA, these families own the road you were sitting on. They own the ports that brought in your phone, the banks that hold your savings. And they are hidden behind 20-foot concrete walls, guarded by private security that looks like a special forces unit. Today, we are getting inside all of it. Number 8. The Madrigal Heritage Estate. To understand the foundations of the Filipino elite, you have to look at the Madrigal family because they represent the kind of old money that shaped the country's early industries before the skyscrapers even existed. This is a family that made its fortune in shipping and sugar and mining long before the modern tech boom started, and they were the ones who partnered with Ayala to develop the very land that Ayala Alabang sits on today. Their estate in the south is a massive colonial-style compound that feels like a piece of history preserved behind high-tech security gates and thick stone walls. The house is surrounded by a sprawling garden filled with century-old trees and manicured hedges that block any possible view from the street so you can't even see the roof from the sidewalk. Inside the mansion, the rooms are filled with heavy hardwood furniture and antique chandeliers that give off a sense of permanent power, and the floors are made of rare wood that has been polished for decades. The kitchen is a traditional space with stone floors and a massive wood-fired oven because the family values the refined lifestyle of the old-world aristocracy and they prefer slow-cooked meals over modern fast food. You won't find flashy gadgets here, but the security is world-class, and it includes a 24-hour guard detail and a perimeter system that is monitored from a central village hub. They recently made headlines by buying out a massive stake in the Alabang Town Center for 13.5 billion pesos, and that kind of liquid wealth is reflected in the sheer size of their land holdings. The mansion features grand formal dining halls and libraries filled with historical documents that date back over a century, and every room feels like a museum. It is a home built for a legacy, and it shows that you don't need to be loud to be powerful as long as you own the land everyone else walks on. But while the Madrigals own the history of the South, our next family has a compound so vast, it is basically a city within a city. Number 7. The Cuneta. House within a house. When you are the megastar of the Philippines, you do not simply buy a house because you construct a sovereign state that can survive entirely on its own. Sharon Cuneta's family residence in the exclusive Wack-Wack area of Mandaluyong lands at number 7 because it redefines the concept of the urban compound in a crowded metropolis. So impenetrable that her close friends stopped calling it a home and started calling it the fortress. Spread across 5 combined lots, the sheer scale of the property creates a defensive buffer zone that most city homes simply cannot afford. In security architecture, distance is time. And the further the main house sits from the public road, the more time security teams have to react to a threat. Sharon's home is essentially a fortress within a city, and it is surrounded by towering perimeter walls that block all visual access from the outside. You could drive past this property every day for a year and never catch a glimpse of the life inside. And that is why it is one of the most mysterious homes in the country. The living rooms inside are not sterile or cold. They are filled with souvenirs collected from Sharon's decades of international travel and anchored by original paintings from celebrated Filipino masters like Juan Luna and Mauro Malang Santos. Every furniture piece inside is restrained and timeless, finished in elegant shades of mahogany, khaki, and green, the aesthetic of a woman who does not need to announce wealth because every surface already speaks for itself. Bamboo curtains run through key areas of the home, softening the grandeur and pulling the whole compound back towards something warm, something lived in, with marble steps and wrought iron railings that carry a classical weight through every corridor. The defining feature of this estate is the house within a house concept, because Sharon oversaw the construction of her own personal wing, a self-contained structure that houses a recording studio, a dressing room, and a private studio space built entirely around her creative and personal life. This is not just a luxury suite because it features its own amenities, its own airflow, and its own access points for her and her children. It functions as a secure retreat where she can isolate herself completely from the traffic of the main household and the dozens of staff members. Beyond her personal wing, the compound also features a 2-story guest house, 2 separate spacious living rooms, and an air-conditioned kennel because in this household, even the dogs live like executives. The logistical security is equally impressive because the property features a massive basement parking facility where cars can disappear from view in seconds. Sharon's vehicle enters the compound and descends below ground, and the gates close behind her before she ever steps out of the car. Construction quality was engineered to survive generational punishment, with thick reinforced concrete walls that serve as ballistic protection against any external threat. The interior color scheme is muted and warm throughout, with bright rooms opened up by carefully placed windows and glass walls that flood every space with natural light without ever surrendering privacy to the outside world. It is a fortress built for a legend, and it provides a level of peace that is nearly impossible to find inside a city. But the next family on our list has a retail empire that spans the entire nation. Number 6. The Pacquiao Tactical Compound. When your husband is Manny Pacquiao, you do not live in a normal house because you are essentially living in a high-security embassy that is always under watch. Their mansion in Forbes Park is a tactical stronghold that was designed to protect a national icon and his family from any possible threat at any time. The mirrored L-shaped structure sits on 2,000 square meters of the most expensive land in the country, and it is a zen-inspired luxury mansion with 5 bedrooms and 7 bathrooms. The exterior is built around the exceptional use of wood, stone, and glass, and the gate is a heavy-duty structure that is manned by a team of former military personnel. These guards are not just for show because they carry serious firepower, and they are trained to handle crowds in high-risk situations with total professionalism. The property was originally designed by architect Anton Mendoza for banker Lorenzo Ton, before Manny acquired it in 2011 as a peace offering to Jinkee after they overcame serious challenges in their marriage. That backstory matters because it tells you exactly what this house was built to be. It was not built to impress the public, it was built to save something private. Inside, the living room reflects Jinkee's preference for vibrant colors and patterns, anchored by a custom 8-inch thick Dao sapwood coffee table crafted by world-renowned design consultant Buji Layug, surrounded by transitional-style armchairs and contemporary Italian sofas. Some of the furniture was sourced directly from Italy, while other pieces were made by internationally celebrated Filipino designer Kenneth Cabapompue. The kitchen is a commercial-grade facility that can handle meals for dozens of people because the house is always full of staff and guests and political allies. Jinkee considers the kitchen and dining area her favorite part of the house, and it even features a small elevator built specifically for delivering food to the upper floors. One of the most remarkable features is the pool, which is designed to be half indoor and half outdoor, making it usable in any kind of weather, with the indoor section extending into a glass-paneled receiving area framed by wood architecture. The master bedroom is the largest room in the house and carries the feel of a luxury hotel suite, with both Manny and Jinkee having their own separate walk-in closets. The compound also includes a private movie theater and a dedicated office space for Manny, dominated by an Italian executive desk finished in solid wood with a leather top and a granite base. The security system includes ballistic-grade windows designed to withstand any high-caliber impact from the outside, and the entire property is monitored around the clock. The design team behind the renovation, Buji Layug and architect Royal Pineda, intentionally projected humility through the interiors, keeping the decor as clean and unpretentious as possible to reflect Manny's Christian lifestyle and his desire that his children experience grace rather than the blinding flash of fame. Jinkee manages the estate with the precision of a professional operator, and she ensures that every detail is perfect for her large family. The mansion, purchased for 388 million pesos in cash, has since been valued at 2.3 billion pesos, making it one of the most valuable private residences in the entire country. This level of protection and investment is necessary when you are a global superstar, but the next family on our list prefers a much more artistic and aesthetic form of luxury. Number 5. The Villar Family Estate. Manny Villar is a self-made property tycoon, and his family estate is a beautiful example of what happens when massive wealth meets Asian tropical luxury. This house lands at number 7 because it is a masterclass in Filipino craftsmanship and high-end real estate design that feels incredibly expensive. The family brought in renowned interior designers Cynthia and Ivy Almario and handed them the entire property for an 8-month renovation that transformed it into a tropical Asian haven filled with bright, airy spaces and Filipino works of art. That decision alone tells you everything about how this family operates. They do not cut corners and they do not hire second best. The architecture features high ceilings and open layouts, and it uses indigenous materials like local wood and stone to create a warm and airy atmosphere that feels more like a private resort than a private home. Despite having the financial power to go full maximalist, the Wheeler home reflects their deliberately low-key profile, with functional and subtle furniture pieces and a carefully curated art collection that never screams for attention. Every room is filled with Filipino art and custom-built furniture that reflects the family's deep connection to the country's culture and history. The estate is designed for hosting, and it features a grand pavilion and a series of terraces that look out over the lush, private gardens and water features. The kitchen is a massive space with a grand island and a buffet-style layout that is perfect for the large family gatherings they are famous for. The security is incredibly sophisticated, but it is hidden behind the beautiful landscaping and the natural wood accents, so it does not feel like a prison. They use a network of smart cameras that use facial recognition to identify anyone who approaches the gate or the perimeter from the street. The man who built this compound grew up in a small rented apartment in the slums of Tondo, started with 10,000 pesos and 2 reconditioned trucks, and turned that into a real estate empire that has built over 400,000 homes across the Philippines. The house is built to be a sanctuary where the family can relax after managing their massive retail and housing empires, and it features several wings for their children. A relaxing and comfortable vibe runs through the entire mansion from the first room to the last, and that is not an accident. It is a design philosophy. It is a home that celebrates success and hospitality, but never forgets that safety is the most important luxury in a high-profile life like theirs. This property is a beautiful example of modern success, and it shows how the Wheeler family has dominated the housing market. But even this biotech fortress is a secondary target compared to the Gokongwei family that owns the supply chain of the entire city. Number 4. The Gokongwei Stealth Compound. The Gokongweis are the family behind JG Summit and Robinson's Malls, and they are known for their stealth wealth approach to life, which means they don't like to show off. Their estate in an exclusive Metro Manila enclave lands at number 4 because it is a massive compound that looks like a private forest from the street level. This is a family that values privacy above everything else, and their home is surrounded by a towering wall and a dense canopy of trees that block any possible drone views or thermal imaging. The compound features multiple houses built for the different branches of the family, and it includes a private orchard where they grow their own fruit and vegetables. A nod to the patriarch John Gokongwei Jr., who spent his early years trading goods and understanding the value of self-sufficiency long before he became one of the country's most powerful businessmen. Inside the main mansion, the design is focused on clean lines and natural light, and it features an extensive collection of modern art that the family has curated over several decades. The kitchen is a functional and massive space where the family gathers for traditional banquets that can include dozens of guests and high-level business partners, the same way John once united family members across different branches when he brought his siblings back together after the war to build something from nothing. They have a private study that looks like a corporate boardroom where the family manages their sprawling interests across aviation through Cebu Pacific, food and snacks through Universal Robina, retail through Robinsons, and real estate and power distribution, a portfolio that took John from a bicycle peddler on the streets of Cebu to a man controlling over $20 billion in combined market capitalization. The security is incredibly thorough, but it is managed so quietly that guests barely notice the dozens of cameras and guards that monitor the property from hidden stations. One of the most impressive features is the private garden walk that connects the different houses, and it provides a secure outdoor space where the children of Lance, Robina, Hope, Lisa, Faith, and Marcia's families can move freely between the homes without ever stepping outside the compound walls. It is a home that reflects the disciplined and forward-looking mindset of a man who earned his MBA at 51 and still went to Harvard at 60 because he believed learning never stops. And the family he built around those values has made sure that every corner of that estate tells the same story of quiet ambition and generational purpose. But as powerful as the Gokongweis are, the next family on our list represents the absolute royalty of the Filipino business world. Number 3. The Ayala and Zobel de Ayala Ancestral Palace. The Ayalas are the closest thing the Philippines has to actual royalty because they developed Makati, and they own the land under the country's most expensive skyscrapers and malls. Their family compound in North Forbes Park lands at number 3 because it is a multi-hectare estate that has been in the family for over 100 years. You cannot see the house from the street because it is protected by massive stone walls and a forest of ancient trees that provide a natural shield for the family against any prying eyes. The architecture is not the typical flashy billionaire build because the main residence was designed by Leandro Locsin, the national artist for architecture, who was a close personal friend of the family and who built the house right after his first trip to Japan, which means the entire design is a deliberate blending of Japanese, Filipino, and Western building traditions that makes it feel serene and almost invisible from the outside. The plan of the house is configured around an inner courtyard with a minimalist Japanese-style pond and a bridgeway over the water that leads into the main corridor, and the living and dining rooms flow into each other, separated only by a change in level, before opening straight out into an expansive lanai and garden that makes the outside and the inside feel like one continuous space. The interior features a grand ballroom and a formal dining hall that has hosted kings and presidents and world leaders from all over the world for over a century. The kitchen is a warm and traditional space where the family's private chefs prepare meals using ingredients from the family's own agricultural estates across the country. Security here is provided by an elite private detail that is integrated with the village's security network, and they use the latest technology to monitor the perimeter without disturbing the classic vibe. The estate also features a private library that contains some of the most important historical documents in the country, and it is guarded like a state secret, a fitting detail for a family whose patriarch Fernando Zobel once kept a private library of thousands of books that shaped the architectural and cultural direction of the entire city. It is a home that represents the ultimate in old money aristocracy, and it is built on a foundation of centuries of influence and power that no one can touch. They are the masters of the city, but the next family on our list owns business in Philippine history. Number 2. The Cojuangco Dynasty Compound. The Cojuangcos are one of the most powerful political and business dynasties in Philippine history, and their presence in Forbes Park is exactly what you would expect from a family whose bloodline runs through presidents, sugar empires, and San Miguel Corporation. Their compound in North Forbes Park is one of the most recognized addresses in the village because the family is known for entertaining on a scale that most billionaires in Manila would never attempt, with gatherings that draw the country's most powerful figures behind walls that guarantee nothing leaks out. The main Forbes Park residence is surrounded by the kind of mature tree canopy that only comes from decades of growth inside a compound that has never been subdivided or sold off, and the architecture reflects the old money confidence of a family that never needed to prove anything to anyone. The interior is a space designed for power and celebration at the same time, built around large reception rooms that have hosted political negotiations and social events that shaped the direction of the country. What makes the Cojuangco compound genuinely different from newer billionaire builds is that it carries the weight of actual history inside its walls, because this is a family whose fortune survived wars, land reform, and regime changes, and the house itself reflects that kind of permanence that money alone cannot buy. Now, here's the most intriguing one. Number 1. The Sy Family Forbes Park Estate. The Sy family owns the most valuable residential address in the Philippines, and the story of how they got there is one of the most remarkable in the entire country. Henry Sy Sr. bought a lot in North Forbes Park when it was still being developed, paying what was then considered an audacious price for land that his contemporaries thought was too far from the city center, and he moved his entire family there in 1962, a year before he opened Shoemart Makati, and proved everyone wrong about the future of that part of the city. He would live in that same Forbes Park home for the rest of his life, and it is where he died quietly in his sleep in January 2019 at the age of 94, still the richest man in the Philippines with a net worth of $19 billion. The estate reflects his famously austere personal style because despite controlling the country's largest mall network, largest bank, and one of its largest property developers, Henry Sy wore no jewelry, drove no fleet of sports cars, and found comfort only in building. The compound is large enough to reflect the scale of what the family built, but its presence in Forbes Park is defined more by its permanence and quiet authority than by any architectural showmanship. It is a house that belongs to a man who once sold rice and sardines from his father's wartime shop in Tondo and ended up as the wealthiest person in Southeast Asia, and every wall of that compound holds that story inside it. Manila is a city where the most extreme wealth is hidden just inches away from the public eye. And these families know that true luxury is the absolute certainty that you are safe. These fortresses are more than just homes because they are the nerve centers of the entire country's economy. Which of these high-security empires shocked you the most? Let us know in the comments and make sure to subscribe to Her Status for more luxury deep dives. See you in the next one. Bye.